conversation's already been happening,
All
and now
right.
they're just coming in.
Everybody gets to come in.
Yeah.
Welcome to the conversation.
Oh, and you just missed it. So I had the first girl on Red Morning just
Mm,
before this.
hmm
I don't know if you ever know. She's a girl from Twitter, Danny California, or the No URL girl.
Right. Did she tell you like where you are on the hot dude scale? Right.
No, this
We
is
have
my
to
favorite.
find that out first.
This is the part I liked about having her on. Is because she's not doing a brand or anything. She just, I guess, a lot of girls like the red pilled space. They like hearing the guys talk honestly. They
Yeah.
just lurk,
hmm
and she just happened to be a lurker that got a lot of like traction.
hmm
And most of it was just explaining to the guys how much stuff that they see on the internet is autism wrapped up as branding.
hmm
We went after the green lines and stuff like that, but honestly, it's like
Did
it's not what
you,
I expected.
did you see the green line mask?
No,
Did you see
I'm
the green line mask? It's
I'm
like the face
afraid.
mask. That's one of those N95 face masks. So I don't know who did this, but it's like a black mask and it has like that little lime green or that neon green like stripe down the middle.
Oh, that's too funny. I mean, whatever. Go get your
That's
grift.
forward thinking right there. That is definitely forward thinking.
Oh, look at this. They're already proud of us. So I guess
Already.
so. I'll let you guys in a little secret. So on this one, it was my turn to run the show, and Rolo was asking, "So what do you want to do for a topic?" And I was like, "I've been so busy on the Christmas video and stuff that I didn't know." And then you brought up mate guarding, which we've done it a bunch, but I think you had something new in mind with
Yeah,
this.
I
Do you
did.
want to walk me?
Yeah, I did. Hey, what's up, Troy?
Hey,
Hey,
man.
Troy.
Sorry.
Hey, let me bring myself down. There we go. I did a show on last Sunday about mate guarding, and it was inspired by just a piece that my friend Alex had been writing, and you'd been bouncing ideas off of me. And this is like, I'm trying to pay attention to this while I'm trying to finish up the fourth book right now. And it's done, by the way, just so everybody knows. It's coming out very soon, like in a matter of weeks, it'll be out. Put it that. I'm hoping to have it out before, if I can get it out before Christmas, I will. So he's bouncing these ideas off of me about mate guarding, and it's stuff that I've thought about before, like when I've talked about like the war brides dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
And I have talked about mate guarding in the past, but usually when we talk about mate guarding in the manosphere, it's always like, should I let my girlfriend go to Las Vegas with her friends for a girls' weekend or something like, that kind of
What
stuff.
brand of GPS tracker should I get?
Yeah, exactly. Like, should I go through? Should I root through her phone? And it's always on the personal level. And I don't think people, like guys in particular in this sphere, I think we want to personalize it because that feels like jealousy, and it feel like it inspires all this kind of like negative emotion, like, oh, I can't believe she would do that to me. Oh, now that she asked me, I want to go and snoop through her phone. Give me your phone, bitch. What was it? Cancel your Instagram and cancel, like turn off all this stuff. And if you really want me, you'll do this kind of stuff. And we always talk about it in terms of like what you should do to sort of like set your boundaries kind of thing. But we don't really look at mate guarding from like a larger like meta scale, I think, because there's a lot more that goes like, why would we feel that way in the first place is what I was talking about with Alex. And I was like, why is it that mate guarding is such a thing? Now, I'm not saying women don't mate guard, they do, but not to
different way.
the nth degree that men do, because men have more of an investment in mate guarding than women do, because we have different mating strategies. And so the whole thing kind of boiled down to this is like, when we talk about like, should you put your foot down? Should you like keep your woman under wrap? Like keep her under my thumb kind of thing. Should you do this? Is that alpha? Is that beta? And we kind of get lost in the weeds there because we get really wrapped up in the feelings that go along with that. Like, oh, it's like indignation for guys who are, raised to be basically defective women anyways. And so they get off on the idea that there's a possibility that she's like cheating on you on the side, and, oh, I got her, and it's almost like red meat. But what they don't see is, why does that dynamic exist in the first place? Why do guys get jealous? Why do guys mate guard? Why do we?
You guys probably went all the way to like the agricultural revolution with this shit.
Well, we did, but he had a really interesting take on this, and it really went. It kind of dovetailed really nicely into what I was writing about in part of book 4, which is there's an evolutionary component to this. Is that when it's in a man's best interest? Like, what's our our innate breeding mating strategy is unlimited access to unlimited sexuality. If you could get that, you would get that. You would go for that. The powerful men of the past have always secured a harem, made sure that their eunuchs, were guarding the concubines in the forbidden city kind of thing, or this part of the tribe. The chief gets to bang those chicks over there, and you get his leftovers kind of thing. And so that was, and even like in the Old Testament, like Abraham had like Sarah and some other wife, I forget the name of the other wife, and then he had his maidservants, which was a nice way of saying his hoes, and and he could bang them and have children through them as well, and that was expected of the patriarchs of old. In fact, that's what made a guy sort of like his status was he was able to have a very large tribe. It wasn't even a family, it was a tribe at that point. He had like two wives and X amount of concubines and sons and daughters and everything. And he was the patriarch of that particular tribe. And that's what sort of established that guy as a status. Well, when you get that many women, that requires you to be a lot more conscious of like guarding the investments that you have when it comes to paternity. So when we look at the dynamics of like tribalism in human beings, this is what I sort of boiled down Sunday's show to, is that a lot of our tribalism is based in patriarchy, and it's also based in patriarchy. And I'm not saying in like, the patriarchy. I mean like just in the clinical sense, it's based in patriarchy, but that patriarchy is based in men's obsessive need to know paternity. And that is mate guarding. So when we feel like we have to snoop through her phone, or if we have to find some like way to like limit women's, and not just like the women that we're intimate with, but like women in our family and in our tribal units, limit their ability to exercise their sexual strategy, which is hypergamy. What we do is we sort of create these sort of psychological, like it's what I call innate mental firmware, right? It's the subconscious behaviors that manifest as a result of she asked me, she wanted to go to Las Vegas, right? So then that triggers that jealousy. And, today we're like, oh, she's really going after me. But the reason we feel that is because in our ancestral past, we had to be obsessively concerned with paternal interests, because if we weren't, then we would be investing our resources, our efforts, our emotional investments, everything that we invest into parenting would be wasted on another dude's kid. And that's
it's interesting how it's such a visceral feeling, isn't it, though, for the guy? Because you might be a guy and you're with this girl, and you're 25, she's 23, and you're not even thinking about having kids. That's not even on the radar. But still, if she says, "Hey, I'm going on this girl's night out," you still get that horrible feeling in the pit of your stomach, don't you? And it's kind of interesting that even if you're not objectively, when you take a step back, you're not even thinking of having a family with this girl or anything. But it just creates that feeling that is so raw and so visceral deep inside, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, I was sort of exploring this on Sunday's show, and I think that like when you look at guys like, and I'm just going to throw this out there because I know there's better examples, but if you look at like Andrew Tate, or you look at the guys who like have like one dude and there's like many women that are like into that guy. Like I don't want to use Dan Blitzerian because everybody's going to throw rocks at me. Oh, don't you know he pays for his bitches? Yeah, he does, but he's a good looking dude. Look at the dude. Okay. He's a good looking dude, makes a lot of money. Even if he's a complete scammer, he still is. That's the impression that he's giving you. Or like a guy like Andrew Tate, for example, he's got like multiple women, and maybe that's legit. Maybe it's not. I don't know. But the impression of that, the reason why we have that sticks in our head is because we see that as sort of this status of, here's a guy that is got it together enough that he has multiple women, that he's like the emperor in the Forbidden City, right? He's got his mains, and he's got the chicks that he bangs on the side, right? He got his wives, and he has his concubines. And so that whole dynamic, we understand that. I think like on a sort of an animal gut level, we instinctively understand that this guy has the means, and he's powerful enough to have all of this stuff. But even those guys, if you go and you were to ask, say, like Andrew Tate or Dan Blitzerian, or name a guy that is a good looking guy, maybe he's a famous whatever. Name a guy that has a lot of access to a lot of pussy, and that guy will be jealous of the girls. He doesn't want to be with a girl who doesn't want to sort of be in his harem. And so if she cheats on him, he's like, fine, you're out of the club, you're out of the tribe, comply or goodbye.
Abundance,
Remember
basically.
that? Yeah. So there's that side of it. So the guys will still want to, like, even the alpha guys still want to mate guard, but they want that woman to mate guard herself, right? They want to say, you know what, you're in this tribe or you're not in this tribe, and it's comply or goodbye. I'll see you later because I'll find another girl to replace you, like in half an hour, kind of thing.
Which I'd argue is a much healthier way to go about it.
I think so too. But the whole thing is when we see something like that, I think on a gut instinctual level, we see that guy as sort of like being higher status because he has access to more women. And why wouldn't the women be attracted to him or aroused by this guy if he wasn't good looking, if he wasn't powerful, if he didn't have money, if he didn't have status, if he wasn't the guy that other men wanted to be and other women wanted to bang?
Well, what's more abundant than being able to throw away pussy? Because I'll get another one.
Yeah. Right. Well, I mean,
Troy can speak to that. That's his MO.
For most guys, for most men on planet
muted,
Earth,
buddy.
pussy is the commodity. It's a commodity to them.
Yeah. Troy, we got you on mute, buddy.
Unmute.
Sorry, guys. Is there anything more to this though? Is it the sense, that visceral sense that a guy gets when he thinks my girl, who's she's meant to be mine, etc., etc. We've had all this sweet time together. We've had sex and we have all these cuddles on the sofa and all the rest of it. And then she's going to be getting rammed by some other dude, outside the back of the club. Is there more to it than just the paternity aspect, or do you think it just really, really does just ultimately come down to that sort of almost primordial sense of,
what else could there be?
I think it distills to that because we have to remember that men, when it comes to mating strategies, there's contingent strategies for the opposite sex. So, and we see this now. I mean, every doom pillar and every black pillar, whatever, every one of these guys who's crying in their milk about, women's behaviors and they're all worthless and they're all whatever. They're complaining about a mating strategy that's basically unfettered on the part of women. So there's no consequences. There's no liabilities for it. There's no, and they're happy to flaunt it and throw it in there in everyone's face in the digital age today.
Yeah, I guess there's the ego validation side of it as well, isn't there? Because if your girl goes off and bangs some other Chad, then that you're going to feel very bad about yourself. But ultimately, what does that come down to? It comes down to the fact that she's demonstrated, or it sort of underlines the point that you aren't the alpha Chad that's going to win in the genetic race, right? So it kind of all comes down to the same thing.
Is it though? Okay, but let me ask you this: is it like a personal thing? Like it's like a lot of guys love to throw this one out there. They go, "Oh, you only want a hot bitch because you want to be validated by that. You want to show her off to other girls so that you get a status boost or something, right?" It's always about. It's like no. That's not it. The reason is she's hot and I want to experience that chick sexually.
Oh yeah, no, of course. No, absolutely. I don't buy the argument for 1 second. And the reason that guys go for hot girls is just for validation. Because it's because you want to get hot girls. But what I'm saying is if then some other dude steps in and effectively steals that girl off you, that's going to then have that ego knock-on effect, isn't it? Because you're going to be like,
it is because what happens, and I forget the lady who did the TED talk on this, but there's actually, I mean, when
I remember the one.
In love with someone, when you are like infatuated with, especially in like the first 3 months of you, like you can't stop fucking each other, you can't. You're in that phase, that honeymoon phase, right? And you get all that good. It's not just dopamine. It's a lot more than just dopamine. It's like that root hindbrain, whatever the gland is at the pineal gland or whatever.
You said P.
Soaked in endorphins and that good stuff. That's it. And the chemical profile that has is very similar to like heroin or cocaine.
Yeah.
So yeah, you have a definite psychological investment in the woman that you are getting all those good feelings from. It's like falling in love with your drug dealer.
Yeah, it's oxytocin, isn't it? It's like the cuddling drug.
Well, that's the comfort one. Oxytocin, serotonin, right?
Oh man, in book 4, I have there's a smallish part about oxytocin and the reason why we shouldn't worship oxytocin right now, because oxytocin is also like one of the things about oxytocin is it's sort of a double-edged sword. Like a lot of people will say, well, it's the love drug, right? It's the love hormone. It's what makes you feel like, you want to be with that. But yeah, it does in women for guys that they want to be invested in. For men, it's a downside because what it does is it puts you into it rewires your brain to think that, oh, a good situation or a bad situation is a good situation.
Yeah.
Like whenever Rich comes on, he goes, I can't believe these guys can't see these red flags. It's like, yeah, because their pineal gland or whatever is so.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. It's really dangerous. It's really, really dangerous because you get blinded by that love drug or whatever you want to call it, and then you get stuck. You get stuck in terrible situations. It's really, really bad. It really is.
I got one better for you. When I was working on book 4, and this is in book 4, is there's research that's been done on oxytocin, but also not just the hormone itself, but also the receptor hormone, which is OXTR, I think, or something like that. I'm not an endocrinologist. Don't quote me. I don't take any drugs because you heard Rollo say something. But there's the receptor hormone for oxytocin. Women have more of it, and it's been linked to moral judgment. So like the more moral you are, the better, like your receptors or something I quoted in the book. I couldn't quote it right now off the top of my head, but I quoted in the book, and oxytocin has at least a corollary link to moral judgment.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. Yeah, because it is those dudes that tend to get more sort of on board with it, isn't it? It's those like high quality woman kind of, guys that tend to get are really prone to this, right?
Well, but why is that? Like that's the whole another thing that I put in book 4 is there is research right now that shows, and this is provable right now, is that a woman's ovum, will select different men's sperm. If they're at the point of conception,
right, yeah.
They're at the point of fertility right there, and there's like multiple like sperm from like at least 2 guys. Okay. So if there's multiple sperm, the egg doesn't actually choose which one, but the proteins or whatever is around the egg that's sort of like defending it kind of thing, it will slow down what they say is low quality sperm, or the sperm that it doesn't want to be fertilized by. So it slows down the sperm swimming towards it that is inferior, while allowing the sperm that is superior, whatever that it wants to be, I'm not saying it has a brain, it doesn't, but I'm saying it's slowing down the sperm it doesn't want, and it's allowing the sperm that can swim faster than it to impregnate or to fertilize that egg.
Talk about anti-slut defense.
Why would that have evolved in human females?
Yeah, it's fascinating. Is that akin to the sperm wars?
I'm waiting.
Yeah. Well, I know I've heard similar stuff where what was it that girls select for guys that have a different, was it a phenotype or was it the blood type? So basically, meaning like her antibodies means you're going to generally be better against disease, as opposed to, which is part of like the visceral reason why you're not sexually attracted to like relatives.
Right. Yeah. Well, because
your genes are kind of the ones who were died off, and the ones who weren't.
Yeah, you're too genetically similar. That's why, and that's another reason why women's mating strategy. It has to be women's mating strategy. Of course, is hypergamy, right? Alpha seed, beta need, and there has to be some sort of filter mechanism because women have much higher investment costs when it comes to pregnancy. So as a result of that, it affects their mating strategy, right? So it's and all the way up to like, well, God said that women are supposed to select for these particular guys or this particular thing. And it's all from like family up to tribe, up to people, up to beliefs, up to nations, everything comes back to the fact that one little egg selects like, the right sperm or whatever, because at some point along the way, there had to be an evolutionary mechanism to select between 2 differing sperm in the same woman at the same point of conception. Why? Because that is what works in their best interests, right?
Well, it doesn't even have to be a girl driving it. If you could just consider that guys had 2 types of sperm, the kind that this protein might have always been there, but the kind of guys who adapted to have like a faster sperm through it were the ones that evolved through. And that's what a lot of guys, I think, mistake when we talk about evolution. We say things adjusted to. They picture it's like a battle between sperm and ovum, and it's really just a numbers game.
Yeah.
800 million people tried having sex, and the ones that had a certain protein in their sperm tended to knock up chicks faster. And so now that's what it doesn't select for. It's just that's the one that through the process has been.
Yeah, it's not like a conscious process. I think all the people have to really understand that. But so that's the basis of it right there. So the fact is that I think on some level of consciousness, like human beings realize, or we have this kind of like Like men would not have developed a mental firmware for jealousy if they weren't if they didn't need to be obsessively invested in their own paternity.
Yeah.
So that's where a lot of the mate guarding thing. So, and that comes down to the manosphere. Everybody goes, "Oh, I hate it when she asks me to go to Las Vegas with her girlfriends. What you doing?"
Yeah. But what's interesting from my perspective is that when you do mate guard, that then makes you less attractive, or that signals that you are less attractive to the woman that you're trying to, attract or whatever. And actually, the first time I ever really even became aware of this concept, it wasn't through the red pill or anything like that. It was actually, I remember years ago, I used to work with this dude who was like he was like a real Chad. He was like the black pill kind of Giga Chad kind of dude, right? I was friends with him. Tall, good looking, used to do a bit of male modeling, whatever. Anyway, one time we were at this event and it was like workmates out, having a few drinks, whatever. And there was quite an attractive girl that we worked with, and she was there with her boyfriend. And the boyfriend, everyone was standing around chatting, and the boyfriend sort of put his hand on her butt while people were standing there talking. And this guy, the Giga Chad guy, said to me, "So why does he do that? You see, if there's no point in him doing that. If she's going to cheat, she's going to cheat. You don't put your hand on there and try to claim ownership." Now that was something that I'd never even considered before. But this guy, because I think this dude was a bit of a natural and he just kind of instinctively got this stuff, he pointed it out to me, and I was like, "Oh yeah, no, I see what you mean." Because when I looked at it, the boyfriend actually did look kind of nerdy and sort of like overly protective. It's a bit like, I'm going to put my hand on her ass to show that I am the owner sort of thing. And of course, what you're then signaling to the girl is that you consider yourself to be low value, so that you have to try to hang on to her in a social situation where there might be other male predators around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I covered that a little bit on Sunday because I get this question all the time. People say, "Well, Rollo, is mate guarding alpha or is it beta?" Because it seems like an alpha would want to assert his alphaness and say, these are my hoes, right? This kind of the armbar kind of thing. And then there's the opposite side of it, which is like, well, beta males need to mate guard because they lack the opportunity to get another chick, right? It's that investment cost once again. So it's a strategic pluralism theory. Like guys who are lower value, like low SMV guys, have a preponderance, like a proclivity, right, to mate guard because they have to. Because
that's why I hate when people use alpha and beta to describe this. So I'm big on the alpha dopamine, beta serotonin, comfort and desire, but then people use it to mean good and bad. Right. And it just seems like a very clumsy way to throw it on. You're right. A higher value versus lower value, I think, is a much better framework for it.
Well, what would you say is the more attractive type of behavior? Because I think you've got to be careful with mate guarding. It's a nuanced thing, right? Because if you're some sort of like jacked kind of dude who's then I suppose the women you're with are going to sort of to some degree expect you to be aggressive if another man seems to be infiltrating your space. But on the other hand, in many situations, I think like what I just described, I think it can actually make you look subtly less attractive because it's a bit like he feels that he has to, to hang on to me or somebody else is going to steal that girl away.
It's so funny you mentioned this. So I just did the cast with Danny California, one of the, her from Twitter, the Yes URL girl. Mm-hmm. And she was and I was telling a story about how my BPD chick, I was dating her. I'd bring her to like diplomatic functions where I'm wearing my tropical whites, showing her off and stuff. A lot of that stuff is mate guarding, but from a girl's perspective, they like being showed off. Like, this is my trophy. And like, I'm that good that this guy's willing to parade me around, give me all the attention from his social group. Which to me, it kind of had the vibe of, how guys like pre-selection social proof is a good thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think a large reason why that's attractive is because girls get it for themselves when they're with you. They get your social proof. So it's not that your social proof is attractive inherently in and of itself. It's because it's like another resource that they get to have. But it's on the alpha side as opposed to I have a good job. And this is where I think when you're talking about the nuance of mate guarding. So if you're mate guarding by like showing her off at parties, you're not being too clingy about it. Like, I could show you off to these guys and there's no chance any of them are going to take you, and you have a cool confidence about it. But you're still giving off subtle mate guarding signals. I think that can work because the girl's too busy focused on all the free validation she just got because of you.
Yeah.
But that validation that she's getting is your mate guarding. It's like, here, find one of these guys to get you 20 other dudes hanging out with you at a dinner party. I'd like to see it. You know what I mean?
It's that same thing. It's one of the reasons why violence is sexy to girls, right?
Yeah.
It's
It's my violence.
well, I actually did I did a show on this probably about 4 or 5, maybe 6 months ago. It was based on the video of that one dude who was like defending his girlfriend on the street. This black couple, another black dude comes up and whatever, and just like the guy gets clocked and he just like knocked out
Yeah.
on the sidewalk, and his girlfriend's just like there, kind of looking over, like, and then she like doesn't call the cops, doesn't call like an ambulance, walks, and of course people threw that at me and say, see, but these bitches ain't loyal. And but that's the thing, is like, here's the proof. Like, why is it that like women instigate what we call let's you and him fight, right? Like, they want to see, is this guy somebody that I want to be with? And a lot of the times it's are you going to assert yourself? Are you going to get pissed off? Or it doesn't even have to come down to like fighting another dude. It could be just like her making up some bullshit where you're like at a dinner and she goes, oh, this is cold, or I don't really like this. They want to see if you'll take it and give it to the waiter and say, hey, put this back in the oven or something. Like, take that initiative to initiate conflict. And so and it's those little subtle things. Like, she might even know that she's doing that. Like, not on
probably
purpose.
don't.
And then the guy, they want to see if the guy will do it, or if he'll just go, okay, well, I guess it's okay. Like, if he's going to back down, or if he's going to like assert himself to do something, like to be the guy who's out there, right? The guy who's going to protect her, the guy's going to look after her interests.
And it makes sense. Girls can't fight. Girls can't do this stuff. So they need to know if you can. If you get knocked out, well, then she's like, well, if I can't fight and you can't fight,
yeah, those
what's going to happen if there's a fight?
And I think what's funny is like a lot of guys don't realize that women will give you shit tests without realizing that they're giving you shit tests.
Yeah,
like,
true.
To do it. But it comes down to like, is like for men, when it comes to our investment in our genetic legacy, it's all about mate guarding. It's about jealousy. It's about the everything we've talked about. When it comes to women, it's selecting the guy who is not just the best genetic quality, but also the guy who has the best provisioning, protection, and parental investments that's going to that you want to have children with. So it's the whole thing. It's arousal and it's attraction. It's alpha fucks and it's beta bucks. And if you're with a guy who's like, got his shit together, and he's got other women that want to get with him, and he's got other guys that want to be like him, well, that's the social proof is easy to see. Like, pre-selection is pretty easy.
Yeah.
But most guys, for most women, it's difficult. So women develop this thing that they think is called feminine intuition, which is really the hypergamous filter to see, is he really this way? And so they think that, like, when a woman subconsciously shit tests you, she'll say, "Oh, that's just my feminine intuition." No, it's your subconscious, your evolved mental firmware that is putting these little tests, these little like incremental tests for the guys to filter out the guys who are giving you bogus signals versus honest signals.
So I guess that is female intuition.
Well, maybe it is, right?
Yeah. All right, here, quick break for the super chats. DZO, thank you for the $5 super chat. Why are red pill men married and after the carousel? Late 20s, not her best. Trash ROI. Game has never been harder. I think there's like 8 thoughts in this one at once. Myron says minute 40. Real at what cost? I'm going to try and parse this one.
Myron says 144. I think he's talking about DZ's a regular commenter on my streams. He's talking about 1 for 40 when Myron says he goes out and does night game and he's sometimes talking to 40 girls. But the thing to be aware of with that is that Myron is talking about getting a one night stand. So it's not that Myron, it's not that a dude like Myron is going to go out and he's going to get no interest from 39 girls. He probably gets interest from a lot of women, but it's weeding out those ones who are going to go home with him that same night. That's what he's talking about with the 1 to 40 thing. Anyway, sorry.
Oh, that makes sense then. Yeah, because I was going to say, I don't like the whole the numbers. I like Royce's 282 rule. I don't like the 30-30-30 rule. I hate when you put this objective number. It kind of reminds me of, do you remember the do 1,000 approaches and you'll be the best at game, guys? And then what's the first thing you got? Some autist who just walked up and blew out 1,000 openers. Didn't learn a damn thing from it. Because he's like, once I hit 1,000, the heaven will come down and give me the powers of game. And they're forgetting it's not about a number thing. It's about learning the skills you need.
Consistency.
And as far as red pill men getting married and after, I'm assuming that's an after the carousel, late 20s, not her best. I mean, the girl you get is the girl you wanted, for better or for worse, or the girl you could get, I guess is the best way to put it. So if there's some guy who's red pilled, he knows all the red pill stuff, but he ends up with a girl that's not very good, well, then I'd argue he's read too much and experienced too little. Like, I don't think any of you guys would talk about any of the girls that you've settled down with and like, oh, she was trash, but I couldn't do any better. Like, I don't think settled, Rollo. I didn't settle.
Every guy you know, that's why I always say there's no such thing as a quality woman, because every guy you know, who, like before they went and got married and walked down the aisle, they say, "Oh man, no guy marries a girl who's not a quality woman, right?
Yeah.
No guy gets into that kind of relationship or wants to put himself, invest his time and everything into it, unless he has convinced himself, like she might be complete trash, but you'll convince yourself that she's my quality woman. And then when she's sitting across the table from you at the divorce negotiations, then she's that evil bitch that ruined your life, right? Yep. So you're going to make up rationalizations based on what your circumstances are, what you believe your sexual market value is, what you believe you deserve, all these other things. You'll find ways to justify like the worst situations you can possibly be in.
You were just talking about the hormones that do it too. The oxytocin, wasn't it?
Exactly. Is that so? I would argue that, you know, when guys get into those situations, they believe that that's what they're getting. That's the best. When I was with the BPD girl, man, it was the best sex I ever had. I was like, man, this is porn star sex. I'm gonna stick around, right? Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
you know,
just with a crazy chick because she's milquetoast. I'll say that much.
Exactly. If she was this fat, you know, bitch, that would be real easy to walk away from that, wouldn't it? But it's cost to benefit ratio is really what it comes down to. I think maybe that's what he's talking about here.
Yeah. DZ also has a thing about sort of dating coaches and also red pill guys who have nevertheless settled down and got married and all the rest of it. And I'm a bit like, well, I mean, you know, it depends how the person's presenting themselves as a content creator. I mean, if you're saying, hey guys, I'm a pickup artist, I'm out every night, you know, sleeping with loads of different hoes, and then actually you're not, you know, you're with one girl, then obviously that's problematic.
Yeah, that's the same as like Instagram brands that are like, I'm a fitness guy, I'm full natty, but he's on TRT in the background.
Yeah. But I mean, the guys on this panel here, I mean, Rollo has never made, you know, he's been married for a long time, never made any secret of that. You know, he's an observer of human nature. He's not a dating coach, and Ryan is in a similar position.
Retired.
So, yeah. So it depends who you're talking about really, and what they're, you know, what they're selling, sort of thing.
But yeah, I didn't know that lately people lie. Who'd have thunk? As far as the game never being harder, and I'm gonna put this to you, Troy. I want to see what you think of it. Here's why I don't think it has been harder. It's just got different tools. Because there's a lot of guys that are like, they were in their 20s in like the 80s or 90s, and they did all right. And then they got married, they settled down, and then they get divorced, and now they're in their 40s today. I have never had any of these guys on my private community or elsewhere talk about, dude, this game is so much harder than it used to be. They always just like, yeah, it's fine. Get some success here, some success there. But they don't ever say this. It's always, and I don't know how old DZ is, but it's always guys that are 23, and this is the only thing they know that tell me it's too hard. Is that reflective of what you're seeing?
Yeah, it is actually. I agree with you, and we've discussed this before, I think, on here. I mean, it's like the tools have changed without a doubt. So we've got the social media, we've got the dating apps, etc. That fine, we all know that. And the globalized sexual marketplace, it is a thing. It is a real thing. It is having an effect for sure. But you know, if anybody is on here thinking, oh, back in 1995, it was easy. You could just walk up to a girl and you get laid. I mean, it really wasn't. It really wasn't. All the same stuff was going on. You know, girls were always hypergamous. They have been throughout human civilization. You know, this is nothing new. They'd always, you know, kind of go for the Chad or for whoever they regarded as the Chad. You know,
just with a landline.
There was flaking, there was rejection, there was cheating. All this same stuff was happening. Has it been amplified a bit now? Yeah, probably. But, you know, from going out into London and doing my own interactions and working with other guys who are doing stuff as well, I mean, you know, it's still kind of the same thing. You know, you go and meet a girl, sometimes you're going to get shot down, other times you're not. I don't believe the narrative that it's become impossible. You know, it's like it's over. And just let
me throw this out there real quick before you get to the next one.
Right.
What do you want? Like DZ, whoever, anybody who's like, you know, I know we get like people who are like really hypercritical of this group. Only this group, by the way, nobody else.
Hey, at least they got good taste.
Yeah, there are a lot of other dating coaches that are low-hanging fruit that you could very easily go for, but you don't, do you? No. So here's what I was going to say is, and I wanted to talk about this. So this was actually my first idea for doing this show. I want to stick to mate guarding. Don't get me wrong, but what do you want? Like, what's the end? What's your ultimate goal? Like, if women would do everything you wanted them to do, Like, what would be the best case scenario for
Make up
you?
more convoluted shit you want to do.
33, what's the best case scenario? What do you want to happen, right? Because what gets me is like people will criticize like myself or Ryan or whoever, anybody on this panel, certainly, and the extended family as well. And it's like, okay, well, if that's the case, what do you think is a better idea? What's a better predictive framework than anything that we're throwing out here?
You're hearing a lot of crickets, I guarantee it.
I know. What do you want? What do you want to do with your life? You know, what do you want, man? Do you want, like, if it's not worth it, to you, then why are you commiserating about telling everybody it's just not worth it? Okay, well, what are you going to do? You have all this potential and all this opportunity. You have all this great education. You've got the red pill awareness. You've got everything. The world is your freaking oyster, man. What are you going to do with it?
I do notice they should be talking about like the joys of wakeboarding and like, what's the best places to go skydiving.
Okay. Well, how do you make that work, right? Yeah. How, like, in the long term, if you could make all this, if women would do what you wanted them to do, what does that look like? None of them can say that. None of them have a vision. None of them have a final solution. Even the guys who say, well, you know, we're going to take women's rights away, we're going to repeal the 19th. Okay, how are you going to do that?
Yeah.
Okay, well, what? And then even if you did that, what does like your goal state? What does the end state look like to you? Is that realizable? Probably not. Yeah. So, you know, tell me, and then maybe we can work there. If you got a better idea, I'm all ears.
Yeah. By the way, just before you do the super, Ryan, somebody here saying, I am the 9 is saying, I learned game 22 years ago. The tools are different, and that's what makes it harder. I learned the world in analog, and now it's all digital. And that's true. That is true.
Adaptation,
But listen, you know, just you got to go with the times. I mean, like these days, you know, Instagram's quite a big player. Well, you know, I'm on Instagram. You know, it's not particularly hard to learn. You know, there are resources to do that. You got Myron and people teaching, you know, how to utilize Instagram to help you with your dating. You've got to stay up to date with the new platforms and go with the times. But the fundamentals, I don't think, have changed as much as people think.
No,
and
if you the first guy who had to have a telephone as opposed to writing a letter.
Exactly. And if you could use a bit of game with the new tools, then you're in a very good position.
Well, that's good though. Yeah, it's not the girls are harder, but that's the thing. If it's the tools that are the issue, then that really puts all the onus of like failure and success on guys. And again, it all comes back to us, which I think is a freeing thought. You succeed or fail in your own merits and adaptations. Awesome.
What do you want for your life? What do you want to do with it? Like what looks like success to you?
Ooh, and Arnold has a good point here too, where that whole you're just doing the trophy wife thing, ignoring that men don't think like women. Do you notice how much you guys see this, by the way? Like when it comes to like MMA fights, men and women aren't the same. But then they'll talk about looks maxing, like girls are 100% visual, and it's like, remember that at equality thing, the gender parity that you always talk about, Rollo? And guys seem to be very cherry picking on how they decide that men and women aren't equal. Like looks max is true, but MMA fighting, men and women are different.
I don't think if you identify, I don't know how you would identify as this, but if you identify as a looks maxer, if you identify with the black pill, if you identify with the doomers, the doom scrolling,
mockery aside, of course,
if you identify with that and you're not MGTOW, first of all. Let's just clarify that, because when I think of MGTOW, I think of guys who, and this is the only way I can define MGTOW, is guys who do not make women the metric of their lives, the measurement of their self-worth. Okay. Like, it's like, okay, well, I'm not going to base the way I feel about myself or my self-esteem on the judgment or the approval or whatever, or the social conventions of women. Great. Awesome. Guess what? The red pill's been talking about that since 2002. So if that's the case, and you're like a looks maxer, guess what? You care about the way that women perceive you. Guess what? If you're this doom pillar and you're like throwing rocks at guys who are trying to help other guys get laid or trying to help other guys like live better lives, like maximizing the tools that exist right now, like Troy was just saying a second ago, like guys say it's so hard, I can't do this anymore. It's all Instagram and everything. Okay, well then why are you even asking for input on this? Because clearly you don't care about the game anymore. You don't care about it. But why do you go and seek approval? Why are you going and looking to women to find out whether or not like Ryan or me or Troy or whoever is a 4 or a 6 or who cares?
What did I get? What are our numbers? Do you know?
The case. I have no idea, man. I really don't care, because I don't make women the measurement of my life.
As long as I'm hotter than John, though.
Right. Yeah. So it just baffles me. And this is just because it's a simple, stupid, immature way of thinking about things, because they'd rather commiserate and just like they wallow in the indignation. They feel good about like feeling bad. But the reason they do is because they're still using that metric. You're still using, if you think looks maxing is the way to go, then why are you not like a professional fitness coach? Like why are you not like, why have you not invested your life and your business and everything else in becoming the best, dude that you can be?
And talking of looks maxing, the Chad is here.
Oh no.
Thank you. I'm going to become a fitness coach so I can get all the bitches. What's up, guys?
Nice. Hey, well, yeah, we were just talking about mate guarding, a small digression about a lot of the guys talking look maxing, basically acting like men and women are the same. And then,
well, I mean, that's you know what? Let me just tag this on there, because he was asking about the trophy wife thing, right?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Because women love that. That. By the way, the whole trophy wife thing is an apex fallacy of women. So when guys throw that at you, they're just basically parroting back what they've heard from like feminists and from insecure women. Because the reason why women get upset about the trophy wife thing is because they're usually women who are low on SMV, who got with a guy who made something of himself. Maybe like she got with him when she was 25 and he was 25 and he was in law school, and now he's 30, 33, 35. He's coming into his own. She's on the decline of her own SMV, and she was not all that great in the first place. And now she's worried that because he's made partner in the law team, he's going to go bang the hot little 22-year-old blonde secretary, because now he's sort of hitting his stride and women want him, and he's realizing his own sexual market value. So what women do is they create social conventions that say, well, he's just going to leave me because I've given him everything. I gave him children. I was there for him all this time.
I always love that. I gave him children. It's like, no, you didn't. Because during the divorce, you're taking them right back.
So out of that insecurity comes the apex fallacy, which is they see men do this. Some men, very high powerful men, do this thing. They say, oh, well, he's only going to go after the trophy because he wants to feel validated. He wants to feel younger. He wants to, like, they'll turn it into whatever insecurities they possibly can. And the reason why they do that is because it shames those guys into staying with the chick that was invested in them back when they were 25, because that's the right thing to do. Well, guess what? When you're a dude and you say that same thing, you're showing this, you're just basically piling on and going, yeah, those guys, those apex guys, those alphas that I can't compete with, yeah, they're all like that. So you should go for me instead, because I don't
male feminist vibe to it.
I'm insecure, right? And so they it's a really brilliant illustration of how beta males will adapt to females' insecurities to make themselves stand out. It's what I call identification game. Identify with the feminine, and the more I am alike with women, the more they'll like me, which is bullshit, because it's not likes that attract, it's opposites that attract.
Yeah. All right, Paul, so what are your thoughts on this one? Let's get you in some monologue in here.
Ooh, okay. Well, so I sent Rollo and Rich a message, because Rollo did an excellent one of those longer videos where he just like it's like what, 2.5 hours, something like that. It was just I love it though. I put it on in the background. If you guys aren't watching that stuff, you need to watch it. Just throw it in your car, whatever, just like get knowledge, just crammed in your head. He just stream of consciousness, just fucking going. It's awesome. Okay, so there's that on mate guarding, and I liked it. I liked a lot of what you had to say, because I've been talking about this for a little bit. I was on Rich's before the train wreck thing. And I think that there's a bit of shaming that goes on with men. And I think we fall into it where we think that jealousy or mate guarding is insecure, like immediately. Like if you have a jealous feeling, or if you have a instinct to want to mate guard, or if an instinct to want to basically smash a dude into the concrete for that is potentially taking your mate.
It's a very specific example.
Right, exactly. Well, I'm using the example for a reason, because it's this idea, well, that's insecure, that's beta. You have to pretend like that you don't have that thing. And what you said in the stream, which I've said before too, it's not necessarily beta or alpha to have that instinct. That instinct is a protective one. It's just masculine. It's just something that happens, right? And it's because our jealousy instinct is designed to protect us. It's designed to protect us from cuckoldry. It's designed to protect us from putting babies in a chick that is going to be a terrible parent, or that's going to mate switch, or taking on a woman that's going to, sleep with the neighbor, and then we're taking care of that kid. It's a protective measure. And so it's not, our reaction to that instinct can be insecure, right? We can react to that in a insecure way, but to have that instinct itself isn't really insecure or beta or alpha necessarily. It's none of that. You got to look at it from a neutral perspective. It's an instinct that was designed to protect us. Now, so how we react to that instinct, though, that is whether or not we're behaving in an alpha manner or a beta manner. Now, I'm not going to tell a silverback gorilla that he needs counseling for his insecurities when he wants to pound the opposing gorilla who maybe wants to, mate with some of his women, right? I mean, this is just, he's doing the most alpha thing available to him in his primitive brain, which is, I'm going to beat the shit out of my competition. So our instincts as males, what that feeling we get is the maybe beat the shit out of the competition instinct. However, we live in a civilized society where you can't do that as a reaction, right? We have controls over our default as males in society, which is to defer to anger, violence, and intimidation to get what we want. But we don't have controls over women's default, which is manipulation and deception, because they're the weaker sex. So they use manipulation and deception to get what they want, because they can't just go pound the shit out of somebody. Whereas we would just use sheer force, right? Well, since we can't use force, what's our next default? Our default now would be to go into beta behaviors. I can't beat the crap out of this guy, so now I'm going to try to control her behavior, or now I'm going to shame her or get upset with her or pull her in closer and look at the guy weird, do all these things that are beta, because if I do the alpha thing, which my default alpha behavior, I'm going to jail, right? And so now we have to, as men, steer that behavior into something different, which is a bit more outcome independent, bit more you want to go mess around with somebody else, that's cool, I'm going to leave you on the curb and I will see you later, and then there's nothing left for you, right? And,
Paul,
go ahead.
Paul, here's a question for you though. Do you think that mate guarding behaviors of the kind that you just described at the end, which is like pulling her in and looking at the guy funny and all that kind of stuff, do you think that they are universally unattractive to women, or do you think there's some circumstances where she might think, oh, that's kind of cute or whatever? Or is it down to context and what you're like as a guy and your relationship to her?
Yeah, I feel like if he is mate guarding in a beta manner, your only default for mate guarding is violence and intimidation, or hey, you want to go mess around? Cool. That's up to you. But then your shit's going to be on the curb and I'll see you later. So being outcome independent about it, which is coming from a state of abundance, saying, hey, I value what we have, but if you don't want to value that, then I'll find somebody else who does. So that's that's an attractive way of handling it, I would think.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, violence is attractive, of course, but that's going to end you up in jail, end you up with a lot of problems, a lot of drama. I mean, it's a good thing we don't do that, right? But that would be, so, but if you do something like do this guarding kind of behavior, like call the guy's work, or tell him, hey man, come on, bro, you're bro code, stop hitting on my girl,
Stop
stuff
thrusting.
like that. Yeah, stop thrusting. And so it's just going to signal that you're a weaker male without abundance, and it's to some degree it's going to be unattractive to her. That's what I think, but I'm all open to everybody's ideas on this, not all resolved and everything, but it's just a lot of, there's a good book actually called Dangerous Passion by David Buss, evolutionary psychologist, goes over jealousy, and there's some good studies on this stuff, showing that at least it's an instinctual drive. I'm not saying Buss has all the answers or anything, but for anyone who wants a reference, there's also
kind of assumed dominance as well, though, isn't there? Because in theory, the dude who is jacked and capable of fighting and, whatever, he's not even actually going to have to do anything. He's just going to have to sit there and he's going to be like, well, nobody's going to fucking, come on my girl anyway.
Sure.
And so if you then feel that you have to compensate in order to try to give off signals, then that in itself displays weakness to some extent, doesn't it? Because like the ultimate, the Giga Chad, you know, the mythical Giga Chad, is A, going to be able to fight off the competition anyway, and B, is probably not going to care if she decides to bugger off with somebody else, because he's just going to get another one anyway, right? So it's that Zen
side of it.
That Zen-like sort of reaction has got to be the
yeah. Well, and also recognizing a threat. Like, okay, so let's say I'm in a room and I can definitely wipe out everybody in this room if I want to. Okay, cool. I have that ability. That's what's attractive, like you said, Trey. That's the attractive thing. That doesn't mean I have to threat. If you're threatening it, that means that there's like something missing. Do you know what I mean? You're not actually
guys
acting.
are only a threat if your girls sees you as her hypergamous best option. Rollo can vouch on this. There's actually they found that when a girl is head over heels for a guy, she actively finds other people less attractive.
Yeah.
So if there actually is a threat, your problem
They're
isn't the
invisible
guy
to
in
her.
front of you. You fucked up long ago. And this is just now you realizing it. And that's why most guys project that onto that's their problem. It's a threat. I can fix this. It's like, no, man, you could have fixed it 6 months ago.
Right. Yeah, you're not her best, or she can't pair bond, one or the other. But but handling it like in a case of, I mean, it depends on what we're talking about here. If a guy's being like disrespectful and like, you know, like one of those types of things, like, but just being outcome independent and using the societal rules we have available and not treating this guy like a threat, but like, let's say trying to grab your girl or some weird scenario that usually doesn't happen. You know, I mean, you have security, you have a lot of things you can do. I'm not going to sit here and just pound a guy into the ground in the middle of a bar because he, touched my girl's ass. But I might say, you know what, you're not touching other people. That's not okay. And say, this guy needs to get thrown out of here. You know what I mean?
Do that with like the chicken head where it's like, that's not okay, man. 50 cal finger in the chest.
Hey,
like when we and I'm watching the chat here and people saying, well, if you mate guard, then that's beta, right? Because you should be alpha enough that the woman wants to stay with you in the first place, right? You should be the guy that she doesn't. And I said this on my stream, is that you should be the guy that she doesn't go and say, going on a girls' night out or going to Vegas with my girlfriend seems like a good idea. You want to be the guy that's like inspires so much genuine desire in her that doesn't even enter into her brain. That technically is a form of mate guarding, because you're the best that she can do. You've answered the hypergamous question, right? Which is he the best I can do? And as Ryan was saying, is that when you are perceived as the best that she can do, then that puts other thoughts out of her head. And because her priority is either banging you or living with you or doing whatever she's going to do with you. And I think a lot of guys get a little put off by that, because like other guys, and this is something I talked about in book 4 as well, is like, it depends on the culture, depends on like the religion, it depends on the guy, it depends on how they've been socialized and acculturated and everything else, because there are certain cultures that are very, very much about mate guarding. And I use like Muslim culture as a very like the more patriarchal, the more polygynous a culture is, the more they are concerned with mate guarding. I know that sounds kind of like counterintuitive, but when you have 3 or 4 or 5 wives or whatever, however many wives you have,
gotta keep them in check.
You're looking to keep them in check. Whether that's you do so, you mate guard by like your long-term investments, right? Your protection, your provisioning, and your parental investment. You can mate guard that way, like saying, you know what, you don't have any choice but to be with me, because God said you're supposed to be with me, or because financially you'll die out there on your own if you're not part of this tribe, if you're not part of my particular world right here. And if you're not, it's almost like it's not based on desire, it's based on necessity. And so there's a mate guarding that kind of comes along with the idea of like social structures that come up around that. That's why women in the past say, well, it's the evil patriarchy and they make us do. The reason why women complain about the evil patriarchy is because what the patriarchy has done, their version of the patriarchy has done, is it has limited their sexual strategy, which is I want to get with the best alpha seed and the best beta need that I can possibly get with. And if I'm living in a social order that forces me into making reproductive choices according to the mating strategies of men, then that's repression. Then that's not sexual liberation. Then that's not, you add whatever social convention that came after the free love movement and the sexual revolution. Name those, and those were reactions to women's mating strategy being cut loose from men's desire to keep them in line, to want to control. Because really, what is mating, or what is mate guarding really? Is
it's a DNA test minus science.
Controlling reproduction is what it is. It's control. That's why women hate it when you, God forbid, you would ever say like abortion should be made illegal, because that takes away a fail-safe from them exercising complete control over their mating strategy. That's all abortion really is. The latent purpose of abortion is to facilitate women's mating strategy. And if they screw up, if they make a bad decision, they can go, do over. Let's go get an abortion, flush it down the toilet, and I can start over. It will kill the party, right? I can do this all over again, and we can start new. And that's what is the purpose? Like, we distill that down. Everybody gets really lost in the morality and the indignation and the, oh man, I can't believe women are like this now. We get lost in that. But what is the purpose? What's the function? Why do women fight tooth and nail to say you don't have a uterus, so you don't get a say? Right? Why don't I get a say? It's like half of my genetic material that's in you to create the next life. Why don't I get a say in that? Well, because you're a man. Because there's something, because we don't live in that social order that's based on your mate guarding. That's based on, and that's where I went with this, by the way. And I wanted to throw this out there before, like, we're getting down on time, but is that there's much more to it than just your personal investment in, like, the woman that you got your arm around, like what was it, Anthony Bourdain with Asia Argento, right? You do these, you manifest these behaviors that are mate guarding behaviors. You don't really realize that you're doing that. Those little behaviors, those little things that are subconscious to you, those are extrapolated into like social issues, social conventions, religions, you name it. All about mate guarding is really about controlling whose sexual strategy is going to be the preeminent one in this big world society that we're in right now.
Well, I think the highest form of mate guarding definitely is a little acid to the face and maybe a clitoris, cut that thing off from the Muslim culture, right, guys?
Well, why put a woman in a hijab? Why put a woman?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Right.
Oh, girls want to wear garbage bags at 50-degree heat. What are you talking about?
If women left to their own devices, women would never have come up with the idea of putting on a hijab. They would never come up with the idea of putting on a burqa. They would never have come up with the idea of dressing like the Amish ladies do when they're modest. Like, modesty would not be a thing. We could see that right now, black and white, every day on Twitter.
What did the Greek girls wear?
Every protest. First thing women do is strip off their clothes and then run naked in front of the police in the riot. Why? Because left to their own devices, left to their own instincts, that's what they will do. Women's only agency is their sexual agency. That's why they do that. They're not going to it wasn't a woman that came up with the hijab. It wasn't a woman that came up with a burqa. It wasn't a woman who came up with the nice Amish, dress that came all the way up here so that you could only see parts of her.
I hope
pro or anti-hijab.
I hope Noah Avoy's not watching, because he's going to be getting turned on by all this talk about.
Dude, he wishes he could put a girl in a hijab. They don't want to put him in anything. They don't want to put him in the passenger seat.
Mate guarding it's so much more than just like, oh, my bitch is going to Las Vegas this weekend. It's way, way more than that.
Now, interesting thing. I want to get your guys' take on this, because it seems like, because Troy, you asked the question too, if some of the behaviors might be considered, or is it what would be considered attractive? It seems like, or I feel like, ownership is attractive, not necessarily guarding, but when you act like you kind of own your chick. I think a lot of chicks like that dominance, right? And so even just like how you just sort of handle her or position your body with her in a dominant way, where it sort of conveys like that bit of ownership, when she sees you as that alpha option, as her apex alpha, then it's like, right. Then it's like, oh, like this guy, this is my guy. Look him, he owns my ass. Like, that's awesome, right?
There's a guy in the chat, right, who's Moo Liss, who's written a comment. He says, a woman who sees you as her best will welcome your mate guarding. She likes to see she is your, and in bracket, property.
Yeah, I would call it ownership more than guarding, but I get,
because I remember an incident a couple of years ago where I inadvertently mate guarded, and I felt ashamed of it immediately afterwards. But basically, there was this girl that I was seeing, and it was pretty casual. I was kind of seeing other girls, whatever, on the side. She kind of knew that, whatever. We went to this party, and she met a friend of mine. Now, this friend of mine is not like a massive Chad or anything, but he is. I mean, he's a somewhat older gentleman, let's say. I think he's about 60 now, kind of tall, suave English dude. He owns a nightclub, shit like that. He's very charming, okay? Although you wouldn't look at him and go, oh my God, that dude's a Chad, but charming nevertheless. Anyway, he was chatting to her, and obviously there must have been this inadvertent thing, and I just kind of put my arm around her. And afterwards she goes, oh, that was the first time you put your arm around me in public. And I was like, oh fuck, I mate guarded. I was like red pill, like cross. But I don't
I was thinking you put his head through the pavement or something.
No, but I don't think
you beat the crap out of him.
But I don't think it did me any harm, actually, because I think actually in that particular context she was quite into me, and I think actually she actually quite liked it, that I'd shown this little bit of affection, even though it was in response to this other dude. That was my perspective anyway. It certainly
subtle IOI. I could see that.
Yeah, it certainly didn't do me any harm. I mean, she didn't dump me until ages later when she found out that I was, offing my chick.
But that's a big leap between that and guys who put like a GPS tracker in their girl's fucking car, right?
Yeah,
that's a little much. And I mean, I know there's some people in this space in general, not Rule Zero space, that's their thing. I
was like, oh, do I want to start rambling on this one? No. Yeah,
what's the worst example of mate guarding you guys have ever seen?
GPS tracker.
Yeah, that actually was the worst one I've seen. That and like the doctor phone, like forensic thing on the phone, spyware app stuff.
I got a story for you guys, man. I was dating this chick in my 20s, and I go down to her apartment. And her ex-boyfriend, who hadn't been around for months, from what I understood, at least 5 or 6 months, dude follows me in. I didn't know it was him. Go up, go inside. Maybe about 5 or 10 minutes after I get in there, there's a knock on the door and there's yelling. And I'm like, what the hell? I'm in the bathroom. Like, what the hell? I come out, she slams the door. And then this is in one of the old apartments where they have like the mail slot, where you flip it up. Mm-hmm. Dude gets down on his knees. He flips up the mail slot and he's like, yo, I see you in there sitting on my couch, man, just like freaking out. I go to the door. Like, I've never met this guy before. So I go to the door and I open it. And there's this little manlet there, maybe about 5'5". I just look at him and I'm just like, dude, you need to go. And he's just like yelling at me in the face. And it was just a quick shove. He trips, falls over backward, just locked the door. Dude's gone. But I've never seen anything like that before. And it's like, you're well out of the picture. Like, you're not even yesterday's news, like your last semi-annual, Witness Report sort of news, and you're still showing up like a bad stench. Some of these guys just have some insane connection to guarding something that is truly not even theirs. I don't know if you guys saw the video that I did on my channel this week. I know, Paul, you saw it because you made reference to it in a message earlier, but that guy had a really, really bad case of mate guarding, and like, right, the clock was ticking down to the end of that relationship. And I know you guys have probably covered this already, but there's nothing wrong with wanting to, know that she's only with you, right? Like, it's part of Evo Psych. It's all built into everything you've ever read in Evo Psych, but a lot of guys go way over the top with it. It's just too much.
Well, it's got to be her choice. We want her genuine desire, right? And so that's the thing. And if she's doing this behavior where she's going to switch around, well, that's not demonstrating that, and that's where she needs to get the curb. But I had actually a good one that's semi-recent before the COVID restrictions, when I was prior to leaving Afghanistan. So I had I was at just a bar, like local tavern, and I had this chick. She was smoking hot too. She's 22-year-old, and she worked at this other place or whatever. And she sees me and she comes over, just kind of like latches her body onto me or whatever, a big hug or whatever. Like, I don't know this chick that well, but whatever. And so I'm like, hey, what's up? And I had some other girl that I was talking to, and she was kind of on the left side of me, and I just put my hand like kind of around her neck a little bit, like just the back of her neck, as she kind of like snuggled into me. And then this guy grabs my hand, like to move my hand off of her neck. And I looked at this guy, like, had his hand on my wrist. I just started laughing. I'm like, what does this guy think he's doing? And then she's like talking to me and this and that. And I go, friend of yours back here, like I go, who's a is this your dad or what's going on? And she's like, and it's like, no, like, oh, no, just a friend or whatever. And he's like, oh, yeah, well, he starts talking to me like, yeah, man, well, we were like together and all this. I'm like, oh, okay, cool, man, like whatever. And then so later that evening, she, goes to the bathroom. It's like, I'm standing. It's like a standing thing, right? She comes over to me. She goes like, hey, what's going on? She goes, I'm sorry. I got a lot going on right now, but we're going to have our time later. Well, are we going to have our time? All right. Well, what's up with the security guard you got with you? And she's like, he's just an ex and he's really stupid. And I hate him, but he's had to come out with me. I'm like, oh, all right, cool. Yeah, we'll talk later.
Paul's running what PUA's worked in a long time ago called the boyfriend destroyer script.
Yeah, exactly.
So is that your little brother?
You without thinking because Paul, you probably been brought up in Western culture and you realize that's like, I see this in the chat right now. People say, well, mate guarding is insecurity. What, are you not secure enough in your masculinity to let her go to Las Vegas with her girlfriends? Don't you trust her? Shouldn't she's a woman?
My masculinity's fine. It's her pussy that I'm worried about being insecure.
Yeah, exactly.
But the reason why boyfriend destroyer scripts work is because of that. Mm-hmm. Because what happens is, like, guys we're a culture, like the last 4 generations at least of guys have been acculturated to think that they should just, like, women they're just as rational as men. It's a blank slate, right? They must wait. It's all about open communication and all this other shit. So yeah, go ahead, honey, have fun with your friends in Las Vegas, banging those big bulls that you're looking for while you're in a proliferative phase of your estrous cycle or your ovulatory cycle right now. No problem. I'm secure enough in my masculinity to let you go get banged by somebody else. And you see that same narrative in poly right now. Mm-hmm. Those guys like, oh, well, I'm secure enough that she can go and bang whoever she wants. I know she'll come back to me. She's really in love with me, right? And so what we've done is we've built social conventions on other social conventions. So the social convention that says, if you mate guard, you're insecure, guess what comes out of that? The same poly that we complain about right now when somebody says, yeah, I'm good with people going and banging my wife or whatever, right? That's built on that same like, oh, you're insecure in your masculinity if you don't let another guy bang your wife, right? Like that's it's like completely counterintuitive, but like that's where we're at right now. But the reason that the boyfriend destroyer script works is because the pickup artists picked up on that and they go, so, hey, babe, let's go get coffee. And she goes, no, my boyfriend doesn't like it if I go and talk to other guys or whatever. And then the boyfriend then this is just basic boyfriend destroyer script. And the guy says, what, your boyfriend won't let you go get coffee?
Yeah,
that
does work too. It's
trick, right? It's like, because what you're doing is you're saying, what? You're not an independent person. You're not an independent woman. Like your boyfriend is but it's very subtle, right? It's almost like a neg hit, right? But what it is it's saying, so your boyfriend, it presumes the truth. It presumes a point that the boyfriend who won't let you go have coffee is insecure in his masculinity, and therefore you can't come have coffee with me.
I think guys, though, focus on the wrong part. You notice most of these conversations circle around like, well, how do I stop my girlfriend from cheating? How do I stop her from going to Vegas? How do I control her? Mm-hmm. Which is weird that you have like the answer to mate guarding for these guys is how to mate guard better. When I don't think that is the answer. I think Rich, you talked about it like hard rules for you. But that's the same thing. I think you actually did it in your Girls Night Out article. Have fun.
Yep.
That's all you say. Mm-hmm. Have fun. The decision was already made. If she decides she wants to go to Vegas and make herself available just in case a dick is there, the fuck up's already happened. Have fun. Don't talk about it. Don't act insecure about it. And then like quietly look into her replacement. Because the conversation just happened. It's just girls are subtle.
Quietly move all her shit on the sidewalk.
That's the key thing. That's the key thing, isn't it? It's not, it's
self-respect. Exactly.
I'm so secure in my masculinity. She could go to Vegas and do whatever, and I'm still going to be sitting here. It's like, no, you go to Vegas, do what you want, but I'm never, you will never see me again. Your stuff is on the porch outside, whatever. It's like, and I think that is ultimately the most zen way of handling this. It's a bit like, well, you do what you want to do. I don't control you. You're a sovereign individual, but at the same time, you don't get access to me any longer if you're gonna behave in that manner.
Yeah, or if you're emotionally able to handle it, demote her to a plate. She's in the fuck only box from then on. Some guys do that
Toxic
too.
masculinity is too much. It's just too much. Stop it.
If you're not sitting on the couch on your hands while she gets triple teamed by 3 players from the football team, you're not securing your masculinity, guys. I don't know if you
son of a bitch. Well, now between this and Warrior Race, I'm done,
insecure. You gotta sit there and take it and watch it.
All right, so thank you for the $10 super chat, Warrior Race. I'm going to take issue with this here, where you said men should not look at girls showing cleavage.
Why not?
I'm just like, what kind of prison camp did you come from? How dare you, sir? That's one of life's great joys, is to take
Victor
advantage
Frankl
of a girl looking
about
for
this.
validation.
Human
What internet did you sign on to? Because this isn't my internet. Starve their need for validation. Like, yeah, that'll teach her.
Yeah,
I mean, this is one of those things where if you chose to do that, it would just make zero difference. So all that would happen is you go through life not seeing that many titties, and everyone else would still be looking at titties, and so it will make zero difference in terms of
TIDDIE.
Yeah, exactly. It will make zero difference. So I think it's
what kind of life is that, though? Really,
just
never staring at cleavage.
Tell your girl, like, check out those girls' boobs, babe. What do you think?
That's all that's
Warrior Race. Here's what you do.
It's become these days. It's just cleavage.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think it's anyway. I mean, the bigger problem is probably on social media, though. Really, right? I mean, if you were gonna limit your behavior anyway, I think the place to limit is on social media and not putting like loads of emojis and like, oh my god, you're so hot underneath.
Yeah, that's fair.
These are the same guys that'll say don't look at her cleavage, but then they'll go on to Instagram and they'll super like everything and like put like all kind of emoji and with flames and stuff. It's like I don't know, man. There's just too much overthinking on certain concepts that are just quite simple in my view.
Yeah, and girls don't know when you're attracted to them until you tell them. Girls don't know what makes them attractive. They just feel tingle and then their emotions go. So if you're not ogling them like a piece of meat, they're not going to know if they think of you as a friend or not.
Well, here's what I get is
maybe don't leer though.
Well, and he used the word power here, and I think that a lot of guys, when they don't understand like how to get from point A to point B, it seems like women are very powerful, particularly when they're like 23, right when they're in their sexual market value peak years, and maybe a little after that too. But like when you see a very hot, beautiful woman, remember what it does to your brain when you see that, right? It triggers the parts of your brain that are associated with tool use. And so it seems like that is sort of like a bridge too far if she's like that far above you. I think guys almost naturally pedestalize women because they think, oh man, that would be the apex. That would be the best. If I could just get with a girl that looked like that. It's what Dr. Warren Farrell used to call this women who were the genetic celebrities, right? They were the girls who were like the ones you had as your poster. They still do but the poster girls, like, in the 80s and the 90s that you put up in your garage or in your room or whatever, or centerfolds, right? That was the genetic celebrity that you would focus on because she seemed like she had a lot of power.
Mine was Tracy Lords. Who was yours, Rollo?
Tracy Lords.
Tracy Lords was great.
No,
Bo Derek.
That's
Bo Derek. No, not
You're dating yourself now.
You probably had Blondie or some shit.
Not Heather. Not Heather Locklear. Do you guys remember Heather Thomas?
Yes.
She looked like Heather Locklear. She was like the dirty, like she was a dirty hot sister. She wasn't actually her sister, but like she looked close enough that she looked like good, wholesome Heather Locklear. But she was the girl that was always in the bikinis and stuff back in the 80s and the 90s.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Holy,
Heather
she is Mrs. 80s. Holy shit.
That was the apex right there. But she was a genetic celebrity, right? Kathy Showers was a good one. There's like I can name some centerfolds too, but yeah, I think if you look at like the women of that particular period, if you look at the poster, like Farrah Fawcett, remember Farrah Fawcett in the 70s, and she had like the skateboard poster and everything. Everybody had that one poster where she's like this, and all the girls wanted to be her, and all the guys wanted to fuck her. Right?
I guess guys don't do that anymore. Now with the internet, nobody has posters of chicks on their walls. They're like, yeah. Pornhub can give me.
They have Instagram girls. They can like all their crap. So I wanted to bring up an idea or thought, though, too, about this. Like I've been thinking or looking at things. It seems like our jealousy drives, just like hypergamy is overstimulated in the global sexual marketplace, like never before has there been. You're right. So never before has there been more access to as many different sexual opportunities as possible on a global scale for a woman. And never before, really, arguably, I mean, it's hard to say, but arguably have women have had so much promiscuity in their past and abilities to have chased those things as well. Our jealousy drive is not designed to handle that. Just like her hypergamous brain's really not designed for that overstimulation. Our drive to mate, protect, or be jealous is overstimulated as well, because she has so many opportunities. And then her past, like I'm looking at, I don't believe the stats that say that the average partner is 6 to 8. I don't think they're correcting for SMV. I think a chick with high SMV, from my just experience from and other dudes who are banging girls who were born after 1990, it seems like between 20 and 50 is about a good average number for partners. I rarely run into, sometimes, 17, 18, whatever. I mean, and that's not like I'm interviewing all of them, but for some reason I'm able to get this weird information out of chicks and they feel really comfortable about it.
You don't judge.
No, I don't. Exactly. I don't. And so I just find the stuff out, and it seems like, okay, but I look at even our polyamorous tribal past, where we're hunter and gatherers, the average tribe was between 35 and 70 people. The average and that included women, children, old people. So their notch count by the time they were dead at 30 and had banged out a few kids from different guys in the tribe, their notch count may have been, it would have been less than 10. You know what I mean? And so even in the most polyamorous period of our history, their notches were not what they are today. 70 years ago, a woman would be unmarriable in her community, like the town whore, if she had slept with 20 people. And 20 is like rookie numbers right now. And so just because of that, I mean, it puts our drive just on overdrive. I think it causes a lot of maladaptive behaviors, like clinging to the blue pill ideal, because if I just have this blue pill ideology and this could be true, then that'll overcome and solve the train she had over at the party in college or whatever, or
You're
cleaning.
More right than you think, though, because Rollo had, I don't remember who did the study, Rollo, you might remember, but they actually did like it wasn't said with as many words, but like an SMV versus notch count thing. And for girls, the more attractive the girl was, the less lifetime partners they had, and for guys it was the exact opposite.
Oh, that's
so
a good
I have
one.
no doubt that 2 to 8 lifetime.
Wait a minute. The exact opposite. So the less attractive the guy was, the more.
No, the less attractive girls were, the more partners they would have.
Right.
And the more attractive the guy was, the more partners they would have. So they were inverted.
Where did that data come from?
I can't remember. I have source amnesia on it. That's why I was hoping Rollo could remember. It's probably David Buss, because everything's David Buss.
It is, though, isn't it? He did a lot.
But it makes sense. Like, how many times have you seen that girl from high school? The one that put out was always like the hard 6. It was never the 7s and the 8s.
Yeah, because they're
like when you go to look at that exotic car and you see the Ferrari and it looks like it's got like 150,000 miles on the clock. You don't really want anything to do with it.
let me throw out some ideas here. I'm not saying any of these are like set in stone, but like there's
I got an answer for Mr. Big Dick here when you're ready. I'm sorry.
So here's the layman's explanation of that is the hotter a chick is, the more intimidating she is to most guys. So guys think
sushi response.
Well, guys will like select themselves out. It's I even wrote about that. I think it was what is it? Iron Rule Tomasi number 8 is never tell a woman why she shouldn't sleep with you or something like that. Like let her figure it out for herself. Don't be the guy that it basically was a iron rule to tell guys to say, look, there's no such thing as leagues. The only leagues that exist are inside of your head. If you want to go and you want to hit on the 9, go and hit on the 9. Take your best shot at it. But there's no such thing as leagues. But the reason why we think there are leagues is because we have this idea that, well, we believe in what's called associative or assortative mating, right? You're only supposed to get with somebody that's in your league. So if you got Heather Locklear or Heather Thomas and she's like the 9 to you, you're not going to go hit on her because you don't think of yourself as the guy that could get with that 9. And so therefore, if a woman who has obvious sexual SMV value, like is the peak of the peak, they think, well, she's never going to go with a guy like me, so I'm going to go for the 6. Well, guess what that does to the 6s? Well, increases their notch count.
Yeah.
We have a term for that. We call it Navy hot.
And the same thing works also for women. So if a woman is like 7, is a 7, she still wants to get with an 8, but she's going to knock it out with another guy who's a 7. They don't want to go with a guy who's a 6, obviously. But if she thinks of herself as a certain, and I'm just, using rough numbers here, if she sees herself as a certain, SMV level, she's going to try harder. It's like, why do fat chicks try harder? Because they have to. Because their opportunity is not it doesn't come around as often as it does for the hot chick.
Bless those plumpers, man.
Are selected out because guys intimidate themselves and select themselves out of the
that thing about leagues, by the way, Rollo, absolutely true. And I definitely owe you a few lays off the back of reading that, many years ago. Slightly off, maybe, you know what I mean? Because it's absolutely true. I mean, people think that there's this sort of almost mathematical correlation between, this guy is like a 6.5 and therefore the maximum he will get is maybe even less than maybe the maximum he'll get is a 5.5 on that basis. And actually it's all BS, because there are so many different nuances that come into it. So many guys who go out and do this stuff regularly, you'll go and approach a girl who is like a 6 or something, and you think, this is going to be kind of an easy approach, because I consider myself to be above her SMV, so therefore she's going to accept me with open arms. And she just looks you up and down and tells you to F off. And then you go up to the girl who's like you rate as a 9, and she's actually really accommodating, and you get her number, and you guys end up going out for a drink or whatever. It contrary to what the Black Pill Doomer guys think, it really, really isn't as cut and dried as
not how girls think. That's why.
It's crazy. Like I can go up to a girl who I would regard as being lesser SMV than me, and she can just not, she can spit at me and kind of tell me to F off. Alternatively, I can go up to a girl who's objectively of a higher SMV than me and actually end up having a really good interaction and something happening off the back of that. So there are so many other factors that are involved in this, rather than just this looksism that everyone seems to think it is these days.
All right, Paul, lead us off at the speed round here. Mr. Big Dick, I'm talking to your girl on the beach. By the way, isn't this how like comic books had this for like an advertisement in the back of it for like sea monkeys or something?
I'm sorry, you don't go to the beach.
So you're at the beach. Well, if my name is Mr. Big Dick, I'm just going to take it out and just sit there, just do one of these, and then like you'll walk away. But I'm going to smile, be nice to do whatever. Yeah, nice to meet you. I'm gonna smile and sit back and watch my girl destroy his confidence. If she doesn't do that and handle that properly, then she'll get kicked to the curb. It's pretty much that simple. And I let her do the make guarding for me. Essentially, I don't have to make guard. She does it. You know what I mean? Because if she sees me as her best, she is going to let people know that stuff, right? That's
a great answer. I have a question for you though, Paul. Like, has that ever happened to you?
Oh yeah, sure, all the time. Now guys don't every day. I'm at the beach every day. No, but so my LTR now works. She does insurance, and then she works at a bar like 1 or 2 nights a week, which is great. Actually, I walk in, I'm like a damn celebrity in the place. Now she gets hit on all the time. She's a hot girl. So, and it's a pretty busy place. She'll just tell people like, oh yeah, that's my guy over there. So that does it usually, and I have a bit of a physical presence there. So guys are like, oh, okay, usually, but I haven't had him like try to blatantly hit on him in front of me very often, but occasionally, and she'll just destroy their confidence or whatever. And she'll be graphic about it too. Well, okay. So here's a really funny example. She has one dude's like, hey, let me buy you a shot. I'll do a shot. And she was like, yeah, we can. And he was kind of hitting on her. Right. So she's like, yeah, we can do a shot. I need you to get a shot for my friend over here. Now her friend was an ex. Right now I'm sitting in the corner and I'm doing some work on my computer. I'm trying to edit actually this damn book. I can't figure out how to edit. And so in the corner with my little whiskey, like whatever. And she goes, and get one for that guy over there, So this guy buys a round of shots, right? And then she goes, all right, we're doing shots. She goes, to Paul's big dick, to me in the corner. She goes, it's fucking huge. Oh my God, I can barely walk today. Thank you so much. And puts it down. It was like so graphic. And her ex is just like, God, I hate myself. And this other dude is like, I just bought shots for this. Anyway, so that's what they'll do, man. If they see you as her best, that's what's going to happen. You don't have to do anything. If you have to do something, there's a problem with your frame and the's a problem with how she sees you. Oh, shit.
What's up, Johnny?
What's up, man?
I let you in.
I'm in California, and
They let you in.
yes, I am.
The McLaren.
I got picked up in a Porsche.
Oh, it's a Porsche. Okay.
The guy with the McLaren's come later today. But no, I'm live at a Hot Dude Con. All the animals we're in this mansion that I rented, and we're all just hanging out in LA. And the California weed is really strong. I'm so high.
I was gonna say you seem tired.
Come on.
I woke up high as shit because it's all legal here. You can eat the edibles and everything. So we're having a blast, and Bitcoin's like $1 million. So we're just all having a good time right now.
No, man.
All right, so during all that, somebody starts hitting on your girl in front of you. What do?
Just thank them for the opportunity to set me free.
I like that. Was a good one.
As you can see, guys, it really boils down to a nonchalant, response. If you have to respond in an aggressive way, you've got problems going on.
I was
My
going to
favorite
say,
one is yours, Rich, where you just start doing lat pull downs with her.
so
I've never had that problem. I've never had that in my entire life, so I really wouldn't know what to do. But yeah, I mean, I think Paul's story is pretty hilarious, to be honest.
I think a lot of guys are going to say that, oh, you guys are just dismissing this. Like, what would you actually do if this actually happened? Like they're like sorting this out in their brains. So there's that side of it, right? There's the side of it where you like go, okay, well, I'll let my girl like decide what's going to happen. Like she's going to be the one that's going to respond to this. There's the other side of this that you can also throw out there, which is you can AMOG the guy. And the easiest way,
what that is for the newer guys watching.
Okay, AMOG is alpha male other guy or alpha male of group. I don't know what the popular definition is now, but like Troy knows what I'm talking about. You can AMOG the guy, and the easiest way to AMOG a guy is to expose the game. So all you have to do is say, "Oh, what are you going to hit on my chick now?"
Yeah.
You go, oh, so now what are you running on her? What's she supposed to be attracted to? What's she hot for? Right?
Yeah.
It's like what is it? Observing a process changes the process. Observe the process. You go, the best illustration of this, and I hate to use this movie as an illustration of this, but if you go and you watch Wolf of Wall Street, where Leonardo DiCaprio's character, I can't remember the wolf, that guy, he first meets Margot Robbie's character, and she's like with some other dude, and he just like completely AMOGs the dude that's with her, who's trying to mate guard on her and stuff like that. That's a really good illustration of well, it's a script obviously, but it's a good illustration of how to AMOG a guy, and like basically you can use it to swoop other guys' girls, or you can use it to say, hey, so you're gonna hit on my girl now? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah.
How's this gonna work? And so you expose the game as they do it. Oh, is that what that was? Is that supposed to qualify? Is she supposed to qualify to you now? Is that what's going to happen?
Yeah.
The guy Tips, I've actually done that way back in the day. Retail, she's really big into this. Just talk about that. I'll catch you guys in a minute.
If you're red,
another slant on that used to be popular. If you kind of know the guy, he or sort of like say you're with a group of guys, and then your Chad mate comes in and tries to hit on the girl you're with. You say something like, "Oh, this dude, he can sleep with any woman in under 1 minute. Let's see it." And you
put him on the spot.
Yeah, and then he goes, "What?" And then it kind of ruins the moment because he puts him on the spot. It makes obvious what he's trying to do.
Dude, that one's pretty good. I like that though.
That's actually really good. Yeah.
Oh, dude, watch this guy's game. It's crazy. Go.
Exactly.
Babe, you're not going to be able to resist him. You're just going to drop to your knees. Watch. Go ahead. Go.
I can see you too. The more sincere you are about seeing it too, the better it works. Now you're actually rooting for him. Oh man, I was really hoping you'd do it too. I guess this next one, Sam Whiskey's. I had an affair with a married woman. Husband caught us. I thought we were gonna fight, but he walked away upset. I was disgusted by this, dude. Okay, Rich, you must have had this. I've had this.
Oh, affairs. I've had a bunch of that.
Yeah. You don't find
I mean,
out
they
maybe
don't
afterwards.
walk in
sometimes,
on me. I haven't had that where like it's like, hey, what's going on in here? I'm like, oh, I'm banging your. Is this your wife? Like that doesn't usually happen.
Yeah.
But
Hey, bro, she was single.
hey, if you're alpha, you'll sit on that couch and watch, because you're not insecure. That's what I usually tell them.
Yeah, but that's
some of the best. Some of the best side chicks are chicks that openly tell you that they're married. They make some of the most downside chicks. They're like, listen, I gotta go put the kids to bed, and I gotta go make sure my husband has his lunch packed, and then I'll suck you dry at 3:00.
I can see that. Well, at that point, it's efficiency. She's got a schedule to keep.
I'd tell you what's funny is Rich posts these Tinder profiles of exactly this kind of chick, right? It's like, oh, I'm married. I just had a baby, but we're in an open relationship, or he's cool with it. Well, looking just to have fun. And I think it's funny that you see such a preponderance of this on Tinder right now. It's like women are like they're with that guy, but they still want to. Let's say instead of kill the party, it's just like put him off to the side so that I can go party.
Oh, saves lives.
Yeah, I
guess.
can tell you that you weren't the only one that was disgusted with it. She was definitely disgusted with it too.
Yeah.
Well, it's true.
Did you finish though? That's the real question.
Dude, even my book had that, where my coworker Weber, my first day on board my new ship, and his fiance during his stag basically tried to stay over at my place. Her friend ended up cock blocking me, which probably did a favor for everybody. But he thanked me for showing her a good time, and I've hated him ever since. It's like, even if nothing happened, like as a guy, you kind of expect, like, if you hit me right now, it's like I'll take one. It's fine. I kind of have it coming. But when a guy just doesn't do anything, it's very hard. Like viscerally as another guy, you're just like, dude, like you feel bad for him. Not enough to not do it, but
yeah.
I guess
somebody's put a nice line in the chat here. He says, "She's not yours. It's just my turn."
Wow.
I saw some guy in here who was putting in, it says, it's just sex. Why does it matter? And it's like, well, it matters because that's what is driving social conventions. That's what's driving, like the reason
why does hunger matter?
Yeah, exactly. It matters because you're trying. Eventually, you're solving a reproductive problem. Is what you do. Are you going to solve it, or are you not going to solve it?
Sex is either creating that bond or it's breaking it. That's the other part of it. If she's having sex with you and that's what she wants and that's all she wants, right? Because she sees you as the apex. I mean, that's creating a neurochemical reaction in her brain that makes her want to bond with you and to continue with you and be loyal, have a good complementary relationship with you. If we're talking LTR scenario, right? And so if she can't do that, or if she's having sex with other people, well, then that bond is not there. It's not happening. And that's not a real, that's not a relationship really. What's the point? Just spin plates then. Don't have a relationship, right? So if you want something more long-term and you're going to invest your resources, not just financial, but emotional and life plans and all that BS. Yeah. There needs to be some exclusivity there. I say some because she can bring other girls.
She maybe is the girl that goes to Vegas and is 100% loyal, no doubt. Let's say that exists. It's not even about that. There's a big thing about the perception.
Yeah.
The perception of infidelity. And if a girl's really into you, she doesn't want to put you even in a position where you want to doubt.
You would think that. Yep.
Yeah.
She doesn't want other people to think that.
She doesn't want other people to think it. Reputation is big. She's happy with you. Why would she risk it? And that's the thing. For a lot of guys, it's like, it's just about mate guarding and that caveman desire for paternity. I can wear condoms, do a DNA test, whatever. It's like, well, think of it this way. Imagine how hard it is to go against your instincts for an extended period of time, even if a girl's not doing anything wrong. She's basically giving you emotional turmoil and hassle. And how do you put it, Rich? It's like, I don't need that shit in my life.
Yeah.
Just look at it from self-respect. I don't need that shit in my life. I don't need somebody tapping into my caveman jealousy DNA every 5 minutes because she needs to fucking hit the ground.
Life's too short for that shit. It's a bit like all this polyamorous relationships that, people keep banging on about. I mean, like, why would you even put yourself into that situation? Do you know what I mean?
I've never seen a supermodel who's poly. I'm just saying.
Yeah, they're usually pretty gross, you know.
Well, I mean, that's why you are made. That's why, like, when we see a guy who is supposed to be like ostensibly this masculine alpha male guy, and you find, I'm not going to name names, but you find out that the guy is into, like, you know, farming out his wife to guys on, like, bulls on Tinder or whatever, and you find out that the guy is not as let's quote unquote lumberjack alpha as he really presents himself to be. Then you wonder, like, how did this happen? This guy's supposed to be this way. Well, the thing is like, when you look at a social order that is primarily based on women's sexual strategy or mating strategy, that seems like logic. That seems like you're being secure. So it's like, I am secure enough in my masculinity to let some other guy rail my wife or my girlfriend or whatever that I have an investment in. And I'm cool with that. And she's cool with that. And we're all going to be poly and we're all going to be happy and everything's going to be good, right? Because we have managed to eroticize our jealousy instinct. We've managed to condition ourselves to get off on the idea of something that would otherwise be completely counterintuitive to us from an instinctual, evolved understanding of how men and women ought to be. Like, how, you know, we have an investment in our paternity, and really for the last 4 generations, we have taught guys that it is a masculine insecurity to be concerned with your own paternity. That's why you get these guys who are saying, yeah, I'm a single dad and I'm the guy that stepped up, and they're proud of it. And women pat him on the back for essentially selling out his evolutionary best interests, his evolutionary imperatives for doing things like that. It's the same imperative that we go and we reward guys, or we would like to reward guys. We can't get around that visceral disgust just yet. But we will say, "Oh, you're really progressive. You're really with the times because you're poly, and you're one of these guys who lives in a house with one woman, and you're one of 4 or 5 guys, and that's really hip, man. You're in a throuple, you know, or whatever it is." And that's supposed to, but the conditioning there is, so who does that conditioning serve? It serves a female mating strategy. The reason why women say, "Oh, are you that insecure that you won't let me go to Las Vegas?" is because it hinders her mating strategy. You being this
it puts her in that deciding
beta male guy, it hinders her ability to go and reproduce with a guy that she really wants to reproduce with.
Anyway, you focus on yourself. Yeah, I'm not telling you what to do or not. I'm just telling you, get the fuck out of my life.
I still don't get the poly thing, really. Exactly. I mean, even if you are so low value that the best that you can get is a poly relationship in Wyoming with some ugly fat chick and some dorky dude. I mean, there are other things you could be doing. You could be doing a 6-hour live stream.
Wyoming is where it would be.
I mean, like, there are other things that you
moving to Wyoming.
I'd rather just do that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Is growing tomatoes higher value?
Easily.
But imagine the alternative of this. Imagine a guy who's like, I get off on getting mugged.
Well, and this
I love
is
when
just
guys take my money and put me up at knife point. It's like, that's exactly what this sounds like to me.
Yeah, rape
And
fantasy.
the fucking tomatoes. Jeez.
Well, then guys will pile on, and they'll go, and it's exactly that same thing when the guys, well, you're not secure enough in your masculinity that you can't let it go do things. And like I said
Guess
before,
not.
that works real good for boyfriend destroyer game. But it's based on this understanding that if you don't do something like that, if you don't let her go and fuck other guys, then you're an insecure guy. So you should be ashamed. You don't understand masculinity. I don't. No, you don't. You did.
What fucking good is masculinity if it just gets me somebody else's fucking kid?
Yeah, right. We'll get you a show, you know, when she sends you the videotape or whatever. But I mean,
it's masculinity in a heartbeat if it fucked me over like that.
Yeah,
Well, your natural innate revulsion response to a woman who is a bad paternal investment is something that you're not gonna I mean, you can condition it out, I suppose. You could learn to like override it, but the fact is it's part of you because it's been beneficial. It's been beneficial to men who reproduced before you and passed it on to you. That's why jealousy works. That's why, you know, mate guarding works. You know, that's why your instinct exists.
Well, I can't see a guy considering himself the alpha male for a particular girl or her apex best option and dropping her off to go get railed by other girls. It doesn't fit together. You know, if her
Even
strategy.
If you vote for Obama, though.
If you what?
Oh, okay. Never mind. I'm shitting the bed here. Keep going, please.
Okay. But I mean, it's yeah. I mean, it's you can't. Those two things don't fit together, and we know that. I mean, LTRs are not worth having if the chick doesn't see you as her best. I mean, it's just not.
Exactly. That's my point. It's a bit like, what do you like LTRs? Let's be honest. LTRs are difficult and challenging and sometimes a pain in the ass enough.
Annoying as fuck too.
Yeah. So why do you want to do it if it's a suboptimal situation, and particularly if there's some other dork who's...
Well, that's what most guys subscribe to, right? Like 80% of the male population subscribes to a relationship where they're with a chick that doesn't view them as their best option.
Dude, that's That's the worst, because you're giving a relationship is mostly guy loaded.
Go to
the risk.
Summer barbecue, where you see that guy who's got the barbed wire around his arm that was a Chad when he was 22, who's now a fat pig at 40. And his wife's like disparaging him, calling him a loser and useless, and he can't do anything right.
Well, have you seen Corey Worthington now? Have you guys? He had him as alpha
Exhibit
god
A.
thing.
He used to be. He used to very much be the alpha Buddha, man. He was he was alpha without realizing he was being alpha. And
now he's just a neck tattoo and the same beta simp.
Yeah. And I'm not saying it was like it doesn't last indefinitely. It's not like some eternal position. It's just that's what he was at that one particular time.
I think, Rolo, I was gonna say, I think Corey is like he's an example of how the system can like pussy you up and break you down.
Yeah. If you're not knowledgeable,
right? You still got the tats, but look at him today.
If you're not knowledgeable, you get destroyed by the society and the imperative, because that taps into another part of our instincts as well. And we do have an instinct to want to take care of the baby maker. That does exist. And we start, society is asking us to abandon our other male instincts in favor for that and to make her happy and please her. I mean, these are parts of our instincts, but it should be balanced out by other masculine instincts. And the female imperative is telling us not that those other instincts are toxic, but if I take care of her imperative, then I'm going to be good. Everything's going to be okay. And of course the opposite is true, right? So.
Our instincts are to eat simple carbs, but for some reason we seem it is okay to temper those to not eat sugar all day. It's the same thing here. Sexual diabetes.
Let me throw this idea out there, because this is I covered this a little bit in my last week's stream. And Alex brought this up. It was an incident that I guess was at work or something like that. And some woman was talking about like Black Lives Matter and all this other stuff. And the women were talking about how they hated feeling like they needed to be protected. Like, I don't need your protection. I don't want you guys to protect me. And what she was really referring to was she doesn't want the protection. She doesn't want the mate guarding. She doesn't want that protection from guys who are not worthy of her. She only wants the protection of the guy who is sort of the guy that she wants to mate with, the guy that she wants to breed with, the guy that she wants to, have a long-term relationship. Like alpha males, they can protect her. Beta males, they don't want that mate guarding of beta males, because beta males mate guarding limits the mating strategy of women to be optimized. So if a guy is taught, a beta male guy, blue pill condition beta male guy is taught that the right thing to do is to protect this woman, or to be the one that is protecting her, that is limiting her from finding the guy that would be worthwhile. The guy that still needs him and she still needs his protection. By and large, there's more beta males than there are alpha guys, right? So when we look at this from a societal level, women don't want that overall protection because it's coming from beta males, or what they perceive as beta males. They would as Troy and Paul were saying, is like, if the guy is alpha, they embrace that. They want to feel protected. They want to feel owned by a guy who's worthy of owning them. But the problem is when women say you're never owed sex, right? We hear this all the time. Like if a guy goes out on a date and he goes, "Oh, I didn't get laid because whatever," that women really resent incels, because they think there's the exchange, the transaction is open and it's above board and everybody sees it. We already know what it really is about. But the thing is they're not mad at the transaction. They're mad at who they have to make that transaction with. Is the guy who's not worthy of being the mate that would guard them in the first place. And so now that we live in a feminine primary gynocentric social order where women are making the rules, they're struggling with this because there's very few guys who would be considered worthy enough to be the ones to protect them. And that goes from a personal state all the way up to a social state and a political state right now, because as more and more women get into like politics and making legislation, and they become more like, politically powerful, socially powerful, let's just say, they don't want to be protected. They will say, I don't need any guy to do anything for me. I'm a woman of the 21st century, right? A woman needs a man like a fish needs a bicycle. That is a statement on, I don't want your investment. I don't want you to do what you think is the right thing, Mr. Beta Male. I only want the hot guy who I think I deserve to be the one protecting me.
Speaking of hot guy,
no, I do not. I'm too jacked to play Santa, unfortunately.
Santa with Muscles was one of the best Hulk Hogan movies, though. I don't know why, but this one, Rollo's giving these very serious points.
I know,
is that a real movie? Is that a real movie?
Yeah, Santa with Muscles. It came out after Suburban Commando, but before Mr. Nanny.
Oh, I know what I'm doing tomorrow.
Yeah, you'll see the cover. It's him in like a sleeveless Santa jacket doing a double bicep flex with 2 kids hanging off of it.
Listen, I'm going to Chick-fil-A and indulging on this fine American cuisine you guys have over here.
Oh, have you? I've finally been to one. First time ever. They had it in Toronto, and I'm like, these are as good as they say. It's like Popeye's chicken for white people. It's awesome.
You guys, peace out. I'm in LA. If anybody wants to come, hit me up on Instagram. Hot Dude Life. Peace out, guys.
All right,
later, bro.
Oh, that sucks. Isn't it illegal in LA to do anything right now? Like, they're locked down worse than Toronto, I think.
A lot of lockdowns in certain states. My state is bad too. Michigan's terrible right now.
I'm not sure he's supposed to have anyone in that house right now.
Nobody's in that house. I just saw an empty
Kick the
room
door
and
in.
yelling at walls.
Are we wrapping up on the 90-minute mark, guys?
Yeah, I figure we wrap it up. Rich, lead us off here. You've got a whole lot to talk about. How's the book been going so far? All the works there.
It's been going great. It's the feedback's been amazing. Aaron Cleary was busting my chops for the last year, and he's been DMing me, telling me how much he loves it. So I told him he owes me a picture of him reading it now. Rollo, your copy should be there tonight. I just checked Amazon. It's supposed to be delivered later on this evening. Yeah, things are all good. Go grab Ryan's Audible. I just downloaded it and listened to the first little bit of it. It's really good so far. So I'm gonna hand off to that. And last thing is, on Before the Train Wreck this Monday night, I've been slowly going through all the chapters of my book. Instead, this Monday, I got a guy that's going to hop on that basically survived the divorce machine a really good way and has a really good story to tell and some experiences around how he got out the other end without any issues whatsoever. He really ended up with custody, and she's paying him money. So look out for that Monday night at 8 p.m.
All right, Monday night at 8. Rollo.
Yeah. So let's see. I'll be doing my show tomorrow at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. So that's on my channel. As always, I do not know what I'm going to be talking about as yet. I do have a few ideas. So I got that coming up. What else am I doing this week? I don't think I'm doing much of anything else this week. I am feverishly working on the final stuff, the final push. The book is done, by the way. It's just the marketing side of things right now that I had to push back 2 weeks. As you guys know, my mom passed away back on December 3rd. So that kind of pushed my schedule out about a week, 2 weeks. So dealing with that kind of stuff at the same time was really a little bit difficult. So, but the ebook is being compiled right now. I should have that probably by the beginning of this next week. And I like to drop my EPUB at the same time that I do my print stuff. So it'll be dropping pretty soon. If I can get it out before Christmas, that's my goal. But book 4, The Rational Male Religion, will be available very, very soon. Watch for that. If you are a Patreon follower, you'll get the notice first. I have collected an email list, so I will probably put out to that so people will get the notice, and then you won't not know that the book has dropped, put it that way. So that's coming up very soon. This has been an effort that I have not been accustomed to for quite some time. This is a book that took 3 years to write, put it that way. So that's what I'm doing.
Nice. How about you, Troy? Oh, you're muted, buddy.
I'm mute.
it's kind of getting to that time of year now where we're sort of like winding down for Christmas a little bit. I just finished CAD Academy, the webinars. Ryan was in there, mine was in there, a bunch of the guys were in there. It's a lot of fun. So next week I'm going to be doing some stuff on YouTube. I think Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday-ish. So just search Troy Francis on YouTube. Subscribe to my channel there. That's where I'm putting out the most stuff. And then probably have a little bit of a break over Christmas aside from the Rule Zero. And back with some more world-class content in the new year. But in the meantime, if you want regular content and you want to get on some private webinars with me, then do look at my Patreon, subscribe to me on Patreon. I'll whack it into the chat. And I'll be continuing, obviously, to put out the content behind the paywall there. But beyond that, just relaxing. London's going into another lockdown again. And apparently, I'll just leave you with this thought. The UK COVID committee is called the COVID Operations Committee, which is a nice clock. So we're looking forward to some more restrictions coming in online here very soon.
Nice. I hear Brock Lesnar is going to fight Randy Couture again, so that'll be pretty cool. No, what do you got, Paul?
Yeah, that'll be sweet. We'll have an old guy match here before Christmas. Well, and before Christmas, I'll be buying Rollo's book 4. So that's big on my list. I'm really excited about that. So yeah, I just whenever it comes out. But yeah, really excited about that because I don't have a lot of my religious thoughts and ideas really worked out much with how the sexual marketplace is. So I'm really interested in reading this take. And of course, buy Rich's and Ryan's stuff as well. It's excellent. But for me, though, what's going on with me is just get on my channel, Apex Mindset. I'm banging out a lot of content. I'm doing a lot of consultations. I'm pretty much booked on a weekly basis, which has been good. So just working on mental resiliency, mental fitness, getting rid of trauma, BPD trauma, one-itis, all that kind of stuff, helping dudes do better with women in life and get a plan and kind of navigate that stuff. So I've been getting a lot of consultations. So, you can get through that through, my email. That just get on my channel and then go into the description. I got email there and links for all that stuff. There'll be things like I'm editing a book and I know I need to come have a course, done, but there's stuff like that that'll happen at the beginning of next year, but we're a little bit farther out for that. So for now, just get on the channel. I'd like to reach 10,000 subscribers sometime soon. So I appreciate the support.
You better be there. All right. And then for me, like I said, the audiobook's out right now. It's been doing really well so far. It was a labor of love. Huge thank you to everybody who supported it. Beyond that, the last cooking video is going to have a sweet potato pie and some hot toddies for you guys to end off the year. And then beyond that, we are tiling our kitchen and our flooring right now. So my girl, right after this cast, is running a jackhammer while I'm playing Benny Benassi's Satisfaction in the background.
Right. Also, don't forget, on next Saturday, Rich, you're hosting, and we're going to do the end of the year wrap-up show and do our predictions.
We'll probably go for a few hours.
See if we can cover the predictions we got right from last year and the ones that we're going to make for this coming year. That's always a hot show for us. So check out that'll be on the 26th, the same time as this and same day. So it'll be a Saturday, and Rich will be hosting that.
Can we drink on that one? I think I might go back to day drinking for that one.
Yeah, why not?
You guys might want to do that.
I'll be drinking for that.
Yeah, especially when I hear your guys' black-pilled predictions. I have a prediction they're not going to get laid in 1 year.
Surprise, you're not getting laid again this year, guys.
Prediction 2021. It's over.
All right. Oh, that